Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with the Real Secrets of Money with your host, myself, Damon J. Brockenberry. I want to thank each and every one of you all for joining me today. Today is Friday, August 29th, 2025. And please, if you're not following me, please follow me on all social media platforms. And as always, I like to jump into the wonderful world of real estate. So, for many of you all, you'll know that I am a real estate broker, been a real estate profession for 20 years. I also hold a financial / life insurance license as well for nearly 3 years. So, what I wanted to do today, I wanted to talk to many of you about leaving a legacy using real estate and life insurance. I know many people who don't know about neither. They might have a hard time just figuring out what to do. Everyone wants to leave a good legacy to their family and everything. So I have a question for you all. Many times when you're gone, what will you leave behind? Just memories or a legacy that cures your family's future? And in many cases, people leave bills behind. That's why a lot of times we see GoFundMe pages pop up everywhere because people didn't do the proper planning. While people spend thousands of dollars entertaining themselves, traveling, having a good time. But then unfortunately, when people pass away, the things are not set up for their kids and stuff. So I've seen in many cases, especially in the wonderful world of real estate, when parents have passed away and then they're leaving a property behind, families get to fighting over it. It's not a good scene at all. So I just want to, jump into this to hopefully help someone. And if you have any more questions outside of this, please feel free to reach out to me. You can always send me a DM, or you can visit my website, damonsellsdmv.com, or Agent Damon. Now, while owning property is often the first step towards generational wealth. The reason is, like, for example, over time, a house builds equity. And as equity is being built, that's actually cash where you can pull from. Also, when you own a property and everything, you can leverage the property. That's why many times when you're filling out an application, it tends to ask the questions, do you own or do you rent? And the reason why I ask this question is because of the fact is, if you own, your approval rating goes up and they can easily slap a lien against your property. So benefits of passing real estate down is tangible asset that appreciates, rental income or ongoing wealth, keeps a home base for the family. Now, the pitfall is when people die without a will. This is what I was just talking about, where I've seen many people who parents have passed away, grandparents passed away. There's no will in place. So you have to often go through probate, family disputes over who gets the property, what proceed goes to the property. Now, while real estate is powerful, it's not the only piece of the puzzle. What about making sure your family has instant financial stability when you're gone? Now, life insurance. This is why I want to talk about life insurance as well. Many people are unaware, and I mentioned it during the week when I mentioned on my Wealth Wednesday about mortgage protection. And I'm not talking about the mortgage insurance that most lenders will have a person to put on the loan and everything. I'm talking about mortgage protection to where, let's say, when a person passes away, that it actually pays off the house for you. Many people are not informed on this and they don't know anything about it. This is part of the reason the family has those disputes like they do. And this is where I come in at. This is part of the reason why I decided to get my financial life insurance license, because I know the benefits of it. And also I read a book, and I'm going to share that book in a minute as far as what I read and what kind of changed my perspective on it. But with life insurance, it's instant equity. It pays off debts and more so the heirs don't lose the home. It provides a tax-free cash to cover expenses. And, estate equalization. I wrote stuff down, so that's what I'm looking at. One child gets the house, others gets cash. Now, when it pertains to the different life insurance policy, it's really going to depend on which one you're using and putting in place. A lot of times for the mortgage protection, that one is normally a term insurance. And for those who don't know what a term insurance is, it's one that does not build cash value. The other ones, such as whole life IULs, those policies tend to build cash value. So families without life insurance, usually they tend to always do a GoFundMe and they are in debt highly. And it's because, like I said, many times we have not done the proper planning. A lot of times people would rather spend money on alcohol, entertainment, traveling, and there's nothing wrong with doing whatever you want to do with your money, but you do have to put some stuff in place. So what happens when you put real estate and life insurance together? That's where real legacy planning begins. Now, when it pertains to this, let me go more into detail, okay? I will always suggest that when a person buys property, that they start small. A lot of times people want to think that, oh, how can I become an investor and that sort. Investing in property is good, but if you don't have the funds, the know-how, or means, it can become costly. And that's what people don't understand. That's why a lot of times you'll see people start to invest, they lose money, and then they think, oh, it's no good. But then you have others who are great at investing because they know the ins and outs. Start small, like with a condo or with a duplex. You have to start small and build your way up. You can't just jump out there right away because of what you see on HGTV. I'm just being real with you. I know it's a good TV shows out there, and I know they make everything look simple, but some of what they're talking about is actually scripted, okay? Everything doesn't apply to everyone. And like I said, if you don't know the means, the ins and out, have the resources, it will cost you money doing investment. When it pertains to life insurance, get a life insurance policy that actually match your needs and your goals. The thing about life insurance is not a death insurance. Like a lot of times in the past, people have come and talked to people about life insurance, but they only been preparing them for death. There are plenty of life insurance policies that you can use right now while you are alive. One of them is the IUL policy, and that's the Index Universal Life Policy. The benefit of that is, for example, what people don't tell you is if you get chronically ill, critically ill, you get Alzheimer's disease, or even something as terrible as cancer, the IUL will actually pay you. And that's what they're not talking about. A lot of times when some people are talking about life insurance, they're coming from a sales perspective, but I'm coming from a financial advisor perspective where I'm trying to educate you to the point that make you fully understand and grasp that while you are alive, you may need to use that. I mentioned before about something that turned my head. One of the things that turned my head is when COVID hit, I saw so many people using GoFundMe. Excuse me. I started to invest GoFundMe. I also found out that a lot of people who were not using GoFundMe, who actually had an IUL policy, were pouring from their IUL policy. They were taking money out of their policies. And when they were taking money out of their policy, tax free, didn't have to pay it back like some of the people who got the PPP loans. But what I'm saying to you is while they are alive, they were able to use that. Now, another thing that you should do when you're trying to combine real estate and life insurance is to set up a will of trust. You know, this avoids probates if something happens to you. You have to do this. A lot of times people will spend more time strolling on social media than they would do investing in themselves. It is very critical for people to invest the time, effort, and energy into your future for yourself, for your children, for your grandchildren. If you don't, everything that you build is going to just be given away to someone else without your families reaping the benefit. And this is why sometimes children get involved to become fighting. And sometimes kids give up. I've seen it. They get tired of dealing with the courts and going through probate. They just say, whatever, take it. And that's why later on they drive past their mother's house that they could have sold for whatever, 600,000. Now they're selling for 1.4. And they feel sick because they grew up in the house. And here's the thing. You have to educate your children on these things. If you don't educate your kids about what should happen when you pass away, guess what? Again, it's a lot of money that they're going to lose out on. And we're trying to create generational wealth to our children. So you have to really hold conversations to talk. When my kids were younger and I was married before, I used to have this thing on Sundays called Sunday's Meeting. What I used to do was Sunday after church, after we got something to eat, I would like to talk about the plans for the week and then what we accomplished the previous week, you know. But unfortunately, you know, I'm saying for some families that can be done, some it can't be done. But what you have to do is figure out a time, date, and plan about things accordingly. Because unfortunately, Just like taxes, death is inevitable. It's all going to happen eventually. And another thing you need to do is, if you do have a policy, you need to update your policies. You need to check on your policies. And the reason why I say you need to update your policies for beneficiaries and just update it in general is because sometimes people can be married, they get divorced, and when they get a divorce, their ex is still on their policy. Then when they get with a new person, and then if something happens to them, they don't reap any benefits. So the new person don't reap any benefits. So what I'm saying to you is, you need to make sure that you update these policies. And when it goes back to real estate, like I said, start small. Speak with a professional such as myself to educate you on the process, because when you are initially trying to get into real estate to create this generational wealth and to apply it to life insurance, you have to have someone who has the insights, the know-how to help you maximize your buying power. The thing about it is, though, it's not always simple. Everyone does not always have the money or the resources to buy, even though right now we're shifting into a buyer's market, to the point where buyers have a lot of incentives, but there are some buyers out there that right now still don't have the money for down payment, still don't get all of their closing costs covered. They may get some of it covered. So you have to have the resources and the know-how. And then again, like I mentioned before, you have to know how to apply and when the mortgage protection begins on that property, especially when it's more than one individual. So those are some things when it pertains to using real estate and life insurance that I wanted to discuss with you. Now, I'm going to talk real quick about survival IUL. I mentioned briefly about an IUL, but a survival IUL is basically, if you've applied, now when you're dealing with life insurance, a lot of times you have to do a medical, you have to take an exam. If you've been denied for been denied for a life insurance policy, this one is set up to the point where even though you've been excuse my words, even though you've been denied, you can still get approved. And that is a conversation that I can hold with anyone. If they just reach out to me, we can talk more in depth about that. But I wanted to briefly mention that. So I'm going to come back with my Q&A House of the Week. I'll be right back. Now, again, if you're not following me on all social media platforms, please feel free to click that like, share, and follow button. I greatly appreciate you. So I'm going to get into my Q&A real quick. This is the questions and answer. All right. The first question is, does grant money affect the loan officer's commission? Does grant money affect the loan officer's commission? The answer to that is no. The loan officers get paid by points, not by anything else. They get paid a percentage based off the loan amount by points, and points are normally 1%. The next question is, why can't I use my leftover refund money that was given to me from a Pell Grant for school as money toward closing? The reason you can't use it is because the Pell Grant usually has a clause that specifies, when it pertains to school, the necessary usage of it. A lot of times when you're going to settlement on a home and you're trying to pay for things, underwritings track everything, and they want to know where money comes from. If it is related to a school giving you money, they're not going to accept that at all. That's why. What's the normal time to close on a new construction home before you lose your earnest money deposit? What's the normal time to close on a new construction home before you lose your earnest money deposit? The normal time to close on a new construction home is basically whatever written in the contract. Unfortunately, when you're dealing with new construction properties, the builders, whenever they are ready to close, that is your normal time. If you have to make an adjustment, 9 times out of 10, the builders are going to deny it. If they have to make an adjustment due to weather, something taking longer, they're going to expect you to sign an addendum to cover their, cover their butt. But at the same time, though, if you need to make an adjustment, they're going to go strictly by the contract. If you do not go to settlement, what's written in that contract and what you have signed off on, that's when they'll come after your earnest money deposit. So the normal time is whatever's written. Unfortunately, with new construction, it can be 3 months, 6 months, whatever. But whatever that settlement date is in that contract, that is the normal time. Can I lose my earnest money deposit if I decide not to close due to misinformation or communication from the loan officer and or the builder? Yes. And the reason you can lose that is simply because it's written. Whatever date is in there, they're going to say they provided you with enough time and enough information, even though we all know sometimes there is misinformation and there is poor communication from loan officers. But the builders, that's what they go by. That's why a lot of times when people are buying new construction, they think they do not need a real estate professional, but you really do. Because a lot of times people who walk in there and stuff, they fall so in love with the like the house behind me. They fall so in love with the house and everything. So they have buyers, you know what I'm saying? They you know, they want to sign everything and they're listening to the sales rep. But here's the thing, a lot of times the sales rep will tell them bare minimum, oh yeah, sign this. We just need to do a deposit for this. Don't worry about your credit right now. You can increase it over time. And then when that doesn't happen, bam, they got your money. When you have a real estate professional such as myself, we educate you on the process, explain to you how things work so you can fully have a full understanding before you sign off on something. Because again, they will take your earnest money deposit. All right. So let's go into the house of the week. Where I'm at. Is this it? Hold on. Okay. Yep. Give me 1 second, y'all. I'm going to the house of the week. The house of the week is going to be right here. All right. This house of the week is in DC. I will actually be doing an open house on it next week, not this coming weekend because it is Labor Day weekend, but I will be doing an open house on this property next week. Next week will actually be September the 6th that I will be doing an open house on this house. That's the day after my mother's birthday. My mother's birthday is September the 5th, and I will be doing an open house on this house is September the 6th. This property is located in Northeast DC near Gallaudet University, Trinidad, Nomar, not too far from New York Avenue coming into the city, New York and Florida's Avenue. It's in a great location. Great location. There's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath house in the city. If you want the convenience of city living that's near everything, this is the home for you. Inquire within, and I can definitely make it happen for you. All right. That is the house of the week. All right. I'm going to be back with my topic of the day. I'll be right back. All right. Again, thank you for joining me. Please follow me on all social media platforms. If you're not already, please follow me on all social media platforms. Hello, Leslie. How are you? Nice to see you. So right now I want to talk about gossipers, okay? And we all know gossipers, whether they're in your family, on your job, in your church, in your community. You know, 9 times out of 10, whenever a story starts and it gets to the second person, it changed. The third person, it changed. The fourth person, it changed. I think we all learned this in school that when you start to talk about something, it always changes. Unfortunately, people tend to run with their assumption and they tend to run with what they hear. People are quicker to believe a lie than investigate the truth, because a lot of times people want to always feel good about themselves. So whenever they hear something that's negative about you or anyone, it makes them feel good. It's a bad way that people function, but it's a reality of how they do function. The thing about gossip is you should never really listen to a gossiper, because a gossiper, if they're talking about anyone, what do you think they're saying about you when they're mad at you or when they don't like you? Truth be told is we all been lied on. We all been gossiped on about certain things in this thing called life and everything. The way that you handle gossip is you ignore them, okay? Because here's the thing. When you have a character and you are who you are, no matter what lies are told on you, your character will always outshine the lies. And it is the God honest truth. The problem is some people hate the fact that your light shines so bright that they're trying to dim it by gossiping on you and gossiping about you. What you have to remember in this thing called life is you're going to always have haters. You're going to always have strangers that support you more than your families. You're going to have loved ones that are jealousy and envy of you. And you're going to always have those that you really didn't expect to be there for you that are really there for you. And another thing is you always have your higher spiritual being that's always going to look out for you. The thing about gospel is, y'all, when people start talking about other people, the best thing to do is not even respond. But unfortunately, there are some people who love gossip. That's why a lot of these shows that are on TV, the negative shows, people feed into it so much because people love to hear juicy gossip. But we're supposed to really ignore gossip. We're supposed to not believe gossip. But it seemed like gossipers are everywhere, y'all. People talk too much. You got some men who talk more than women. You got some women who tell all their girlfriends all their business and everything. And then when those girlfriends go tell the other people the business, everything has been turned around. So in this world full of gossipers, the only thing I got to say to you is please make sure that you're not a gossiper, and please don't believe everything you hear, no matter what it is or where it comes from. But unfortunately, people are quicker to believe a lie than they are to investigate the truth. So it is what it is. It's called life. We can't do nothing but keep moving on, being the best that we can, because just like Jesus was lied on, Jesus was betrayed, Jesus was gossiped on, same goes for you. No matter how good of a person you are, there's going to be somebody out there who think you're a bad person. And no matter how bad of a person that you are, there's going to be someone out there who thinks you're a good person. You know what I'm saying? And no matter how good you are or bad you are in anything, it's always going to be the naysayers and the people who think you're the opposite. And what I'm basically trying to say is you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So just remember, in this world full of gossipers, that if people are gossiping about you, that means your light is shining bright. And because your light is shining bright, try to make it shine even brighter. Give them something to talk about. Because one thing I learned a long time ago, if you don't have at least 7 haters, you're not doing something right. So if you got more than 7, then you're doing something right. If you got less than 7, you need to increase whatever you're doing to get at least 7 haters. For me, I know I got 7 haters in my family. I can easily name. So I know I'm doing something right. But I also know that they're also gossipers, and in this world that we call life, gossipers are everywhere. So give them something to talk about. That's all I can say. You know who you are. So I'll be right back to do my quick recap in 1 second. All right. Again, thank you for joining me, y'all. Please make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. I just want to do my recap, and I want to share this book before I do my recap, okay? Now, I was talking about real estate, combining it with life insurance to build wealth. And I will share this book with you all. It's called Money, Wealth, Life Insurance. How the wealthy use life insurance as a tax-free personal bank to supercharge their savings. I read this book, y'all, and it changed me because what I read in this book, I didn't know that um, Walt Disney started his business through a life insurance policy. I didn't know J.C. Penney started their business through a life insurance policy. I didn't know Ray Kroc started his business through a life insurance policy. All of these started with their cash value life insurance policy. And because they started with their cash value life insurance policy, it changed their life forever. And I also didn't know until I read this book that during the Great Depression, everyone who had a cash value life insurance policy were the only ones who were thriving during the Great Depression. This book changed my perspective, and I'm going to share it real quick. It's called Money, Wealth, Life Insurance by Jake Thompson. If you don't have it, I strongly advise you to get it, read it. It's not that long. I think it's like 80 something pages, but again, read this book, y'all. It will give you a different perspective. Again, I was reading this, and it's not long at all. It would definitely help you. And as you see on Amazon, it's only $7.29 right now. That's a huge, it's less than $10. Y'all going to spend more than that on coffee. And the coffee's not going to help you get educated or help you get money in your pocket. This book, I guarantee will. Read this book if you don't have it. Money, Wealth, Life Insurance. It's not that many pages, but it is worth every dollar and then some. It helped change my mind. It helped me to get into having and owning a financial / insurance license, and I use that and implement it with my real estate to help people. So again, I just want to say that. And I also want to say that when it pertains to the real estate, if you want to start in real estate, start small. I can help you start small. If you already own real estate property and you want to put some mortgage protection on it, please reach out to me as well. I can help you in that aspect, because combining life insurance and real estate is a key way to leave a legacy to your family, and it's also a key way to create generational wealth. Now, and I also just talked about gossipers, y'all. Listen, we all been lied on. We've all been gossiped about by people who spread rumors. You know, it's an old song. Look at all these rumors running around in my head. but the thing is, though, what I'm just basically trying to say is people gonna talk about you, whether it's the truth or a lie. And 9 times out of 10, if it's a lie, people would rather believe a lie than investigate the truth, because the truth will set you free. But that's what people do. They gravitate towards people who are just like them, who can say the same thing. People don't want to believe the truth. You know why? Because the truth shows how bright you shine. And like I said before, if your light is shining that bright, please make it shine brighter. You know what I'm saying? Give them more to talk about. So again, I want to thank you all for joining me today. Each and every Friday, we have a holiday weekend coming. This is Labor Day weekend. Please, please, please enjoy your weekend. It's the last weekend of the summer, y'all. And then it is technically fall. And next week, it is football season, right? Yeah. So guess what? Football time, like again, a week from today is my mother's birthday. I will be on here, but it is my mother's birthday. So I do got to go see mama, which I'm going to see her today. I thank each and every one of you for joining me each and every Friday. This has been Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with your host, Damon the Agent, and with the Real Seekers of Money. And follow me on all social media platforms. And you can also reach out to me by DMing me or going to DamonSellsDMV.com and AgentDamon.com. I thank you. I appreciate you. And I love you all. God bless you all. Thank you. Bye.